Did this video trigger you? Did the title set something wrong in your stomach? Now, let me give you an example of that. Let me put this into context. Let's say there is a man on trial for racism. Is his crime forgivable? If it's unforgivable, what you're saying is that he needs to be executed, because that's the only way we deal with crimes that are unforgivable. So basically, even if you're racist, there's no real crime. You can't really punish someone for that. But if you are racist on social media or something, of course you're going to face a backlash. But let me just get to the point. When you respond with racism towards a racist, what that pretty much does is reinforces the racism. It reinforces this person's notion that your race is not good in some way. But why in America especially, we have not been taught that when someone's racist against you, why don't you respond with love? Let's say there's a white guy, let's say there's a black guy, and the white guy is racist against black guys. Let's say he doesn't want anything to do with this guy when he's talking, and he's just ignoring him, and he's just saying mean things. If the black guy thinks this guy's racist, I have every reason to be either to be racist back or to punch him, I don't know. But whatever we think we need to do to solve the racist problem, whether it's violence or coming back with attacks, like think about this, what if this guy responded with love? That's not been taught to me, I don't know about you, but what would that be like? And this guy is receiving love because he knows that this guy, when you're racist, it's basically you're living out of fear. There's so many negative things that we can have in our life. We can be racist, we can be discrimination against dudes with muscles, I don't know. Like I can be discriminating against a different nationality, the Jews, there's always something. And it's always out of fear that I'm doing that. All anger, behind anger is fear. And so knowing this guy can choose like, okay, maybe I'm gonna love this guy because he's kind of pitiful. I mean, not like he's low and he's like, but it's kind of like you're supposed to hurt for people who have these problems. People who are filled with hatred are stuck in a way until they forgive, until they learn to love. Anybody that's filled with hatred is someone we should be hurting for. A message to the believers that follow me, this is what Jesus would tell us to do, and as we become like Jesus, our hearts would hurt for people who are stuck in cycles of hatred like this. So imagine if this man responded with love as Jesus would to something that's hate-filled. Think of how much more effective that would be to this man. This man would maybe change his mind about this person and about their race. But if it's like response with racism, or even worse, if it's like, oh, you're a racist and so you're completely evil and you're doing something unforgivable and I'm gonna group you into this category of racists. Any kind of grouping people into categories, I found even with like somebody whose age and who's like younger, and I'm like, he's young, and I put like a label on him. He's young, that's why he acts this way, or like he's old generation. They're not cool. I'm gonna put a label on them. Old, so old. Like anytime we put a label on us, all these labels just divide us. Anything is just us and you. But if we're able to open up our minds and see that we're all in different ways, we all want the same thing. We all want the very same thing. We all want love, connection, but we all want it in different ways, and all of our fears come out in different ways. Some of it is through racism for some people. Other people it's just through insecurity, some other ways that I can't think of anything right now, but it comes out in different ways for different people. So imagine, like, this guy's racist, this guy is just responding in love, and he just gets love back, like genuine love, not just acting like to show like, oh, I'm smiling at you even though no, like genuinely putting this racist person in your heart and thinking, man, this person is filled with hatred and anger, it's really sad. and just showing him love, like real love, like what would that do to that person? He's probably never experienced that. Why? Because we haven't been taught to do that. It's not been taught in America. I don't know about the world. I don't think it's been taught in the world. Now I have a story. I wish that I had known this earlier. Two things I wish I had known. So I've been talking to a lot of Christians recently who have the same story as me, where we went to church and we got kind of messed up by religion. And one thing that I would say religion, because religion is not relationship, that's all that Jesus brought was a relationship. Religion, one thing it taught me was that when people are like doing bad things, sinning, okay, doing bad things against you. So first of all, it didn't really teach me this. It taught me to like try to get them to like say that they're sorry and realize what they've done, and then I can forgive them. So then I realized that's not true. We need to forgive even when they don't know what they've done, just like Jesus did. There's many examples of this. And then I also realized that religion taught me to, when someone sins against me, I would kind of store it up in my heart, and then I would wait until I'm like, I don't know, praying, and I'm like, I forgive that guy. And a lot of it was like mental too. It was like, I forgive, and it was like in the mind and it wasn't in the heart. But what's funny about waiting like that is that when somebody does something bad to you, if you don't forgive them at that moment, you're not really forgiving them, because the more you wait, the more your mind thinks about all this, like all the reasons that they did that. I'm stuttering. I'm excited, okay? You think about like, maybe they're racist against me. How dare they be racist? Or maybe they think they're better than me because they have money and that's why they did that. Or maybe they are like, blah, and you have like, the longer you wait to forgive somebody, the more your stories fester and grow, and even hatred can grow in your mind, and the harder it becomes to forgive this person. But what I found, contrary to what religion somehow taught me, was that when someone does something bad to you, if you are really loving this person, you see past all of the limiting beliefs that they have, because they're not really themselves. They're living out of anger, they're living out of fear, and this is not our natural state according to the kingdom that has come, according to what Jesus sees us as. There's an awesome preacher called Dan Muller that I like to watch, and he just says, like, Jesus died to restore us to our natural being, to what we're supposed to be, to bring the kingdom inside of us so that we can become what we're meant to be. And we're meant to be love. Like Adam was love, and that's what we're meant to be. So when someone sins against you, it's kind of like, you think like, oh, it's so sad that this person is suffering in this way, or that they're so trapped by this anger. And I hope that, hopefully you're saying, I hope that my love can help them, because anything else you try to do, intellectual, arguing, blah, 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 even showing love, like just showing it but not feeling it, doesn't work, I would say. So just feeling love for them lets things come out where they start to pick it up. They start to pick up your patience. They start to pick up something they've never picked up before. So going back to my point is that, okay, so I had learned this, right? That when you receive hatred and stuff, you store it up until maybe later you decide to forgive, if you happen to be perceptive of what you're not forgiving. Because when bad things happen and people sin against you, you may be angry and not forgiving them, and the fact that you haven't practiced forgiving at the moment lets it just store in your heart, and then you might even just not even realize that it's there. You don't even realize that you're full of unforgiveness for something because you didn't forgive at that moment. That makes it store up, and that's awful. Physically, that can like degrade you physically. And so I lived in Japan for 5 years, and Japan is a country where, as long as you're an outsider, even if you're like half white, half Japanese, half black, half Japanese, as long as you're not fully Japanese, you're going to experience racism. When people travel there, they don't really notice much because they're only there for like 2 weeks and they might not pick up on it, but when you live there, you pick up on it. Now, I would say Japan, my heart hurts for Japan, to be honest. It's a very I could write a book about it, but it's a country where they're lacking love. They don't have love. I know exactly what they need. Love. And the only form of love is Jesus. I mean, that is the ultimate form of love. I was, on a side note, I was talking to my friend about, what is the most powerful tool that we have that would solve all the problems of the world? Is it science? Is it knowledge? Is it technology? What is it? No, it's love. Like, you watch any movie, you see, like, there's a theme. There's like, somebody's like an underdog usually, somebody else is like doing things with all this power, but they have a wrong motive. But this person's fighting for love, and it's like this person wins. Whoever has the cause that's out of love is usually the winner. And you see this theme throughout just so many movies, because that's what we're programmed for. That's what our hearts and our conscience responds to. So then we thought, okay, what's the definition of God? It's got to be the ultimate. How do you define a God? It's like the ultimate what? Ultimate knowledge, but no love? No, it can't be that. What if it's ultimate love? Okay, that makes sense, because love is the most powerful tool, the most powerful thing in the world. So God is love, right? And it's written in the Bible many times about how God is love. God is love. And so that means that only the Christian God has demonstrated this ultimate act of love. If God is love, as Jesus said, there is no greater love than to lay down his life for his friends, okay? So that is why the Christian God is God. That is why only he can be God, because only he has fit into the definition of love, which is the definition of God. So anyway, why did I get into that? Because talking about Japan, they're lacking love. That's fine. I know that love is what they need in their country right now. So I had noticed that when they were talking to each other, sometimes there's just this, it's really hard to get trust between people. It takes years, and even then it might not be enough. And I've noticed this even between Japanese, like they don't trust each other that much, and it takes so long and everything. And I notice it even more with me because I'm an outsider as well. So it's doubly difficult. And the moment I noticed the first thing that in my mind, I'm like, wait, they didn't do that to other people, but they did that to me. They excluded me, or they stabbed me in the back, or they assumed automatically that because I'm a foreigner that what I just did was wrong, rather than being open-minded. And I noticed that there was so much racism there. And what happened was I had been programmed by the teachings in America that says, don't forgive racism. We're so anti-racism that it's actually toxic. It's bad that we can't forgive racism. I'm giving you an example from my life that when I was living there, it's like because of this, I would develop a victim mentality. I think that lasted for like maybe 2 years that I was there, and then I realized I shouldn't be that way, but I was still sensitive to the racism. But they didn't like have racism in their country, so they didn't really realize like how sensitive Americans are, or the world is. I don't know if it's the whole world, but how sensitive we are in America to that. And so I lived there, and I was just experiencing racism every day, and it just made me so bitter because I wasn't even on the thought process that I could of forgiving it. And if I had known that I could forgive the racism right then I could probably have responded with love and had so much more like connection, so much more of a relaxing and good time. Because basically the gospel sets you free. That's the only truth that I can say, and that's what I'm arguing towards through a book that I'm writing. It's like all this stuff about self-improvement. The self-improvement industry is designed, and it's kind of it's monetizing things that work, things that align in our conscience that we see is working, but it's not giving you the source, because they want you to keep coming back. They want you to be dependent on them. It's really crazy. It's kind of just like the medical industry, the way they do it there, where they try to get you into their system, taking a little bit of more pills this time, and I've noticed that. So we just got to get down to the truth of what we really need. And yeah, so I think this was I hope this will be making people think. So you guys can comment. I'm sure I'll get comments. The thing is that my channel, the reason why I deleted comments on some of my videos is because I don't want someone who watches my video and sees my point, when they start to believe the point, like, oh, maybe this is something to think about, and then they read the comments and all they see is negative counter arguments, but they don't see any, what would be counter arguments. Like, I want it to be balanced. That's why I don't really enable the comments from some of my other videos, but I might just do it in this one. And the other reason is that, you know, because I don't have an audience yet, really, I don't really have people who will make a healthy discussion in the audience. It's in the comments. It's more like just everybody just brah, 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 brah. And because the video tends to go to people who disagree. But I'll let you comment. And hopefully in the future, I'll have a balance of, I'd be happy if I had a balance of people who disagree and people who do agree, because that would be interesting, and you guys could comment back and forth, and like, you know. But yeah, hope you guys can remember that, and please send me a like and a subscribe. Send me any ideas that you have if you have an idea for the next video. My brain is dying, so thank you.